Hi, this is Yiwen, and the topic of my presentation is about psychology in games, the distinction of regression between paladins and reality. Paladin is an action game, a shooting game, or it can also be called as MOBA, which stands for Multiplayer Online Battle Arena. Like most of the other shooting games, it could be divided up into four general steps: progression, defense, support, and then output. Output can be understood as the damage that each character can make. What's being listed in this picture is the special part of the game, the card system. Card systems allows players to construct their own way and pace when playing the game. Players can combine skills together. Just like the image on the very right is a noble card. This noble card can help players to live their life up to 100 points. And as a result, after constructing this unique group of cards, the chance of reaching the highest possible outcome is increased. So this card system in Paladins to some extent resonate with the constructionist perspective from weak force reading, playing and making. In that article, the main focus is on the academic learning through the construction of the game, such as players can construct their own games by inserting certain academic knowledge or the procedures to help them understand those knowledge into a game. However, in my paper, I want to extend this a little bit from academic learning to social learning. The card system here can facilitate players to learn about how to collaborate with each other and how to maximize the team efficiency by choose wisely on their own and to combine this card to make the biggest power and to lead to the victory of the whole team. The reason why I choose Paladin is because I think this game has a great potential when connecting with psychology. And as a student who major in psychology, I find these connections very intriguing. And I've often heard from people, especially from parents, that they're very worried and concerned about whether the aggressive games, such as Paladins, may have negative influences on their children, and their children may learn from the aggressive behavior and apply them to reality. Just like this little kitten on the picture, that would just be nasty. Therefore, the purpose of my paper is to justify a little bit for shooting games and to argue that it is unlikely for the games to be the reason why the aggressive level is increased in the real world. Here are the principles used in my paper. They're all G's principles: sandboxes, identity, and meaning as action image. These principles act as the basis for my illustration. So, first of all, sandboxes. Sandboxes refers to the scenarios where dangers and consequences don't matter, and individuals tend to be more bold and comfortable to take risks. So in Paladin, to be aggressive and to attack opponents is the exact thing that players should do to proceed in this game and to win the victory, and apparently no consequences attached. However, if someone accused the mechanism of this game as the factor to increase aggression in real life, could be categorized as a form of moral panic. Scholars like Markey and Patrick refers moral panic as the overreaction and exaggerations to the cases that is assumed to be a threat to a certain moral standards. And we all know this is a game, and the consequences in real life is very heavy and harsh. We have a very solid and comprehensive law system, moral standards, and all sorts of rules that constrains people from behaving aggressively. Therefore, in this case, the overreaction seems to be unnecessary, or in other words, there are none sandboxes in the society, but only the cold and harsh rules and standards and constraints that is posed on individuals. Therefore, the extension of this theory is that parents need to be rational thinkers, and they need to critically focus on the vast difference between real and virtual world. It is also necessary for designers to make this clear. Second, identity. I specifically focus on the projective identity here in my paper, and There are two ways of understanding this term. The first way is that it is the projection of players' value and way of thinking to the role in the game. And the second way of understanding this term is that this is the role that you're playing is like a project that you're making. So to illustrate on the first interpretation, when players are playing, they exert their thinking process and their desire and their investments in making decisions, all based on the game contests. So the contests are the keyword. Players identify themselves according to various contests. For instance, in reality, such as what we've just discussed related to the sandboxes theory, is that with all the law and moral standards, individuals are fully aware of the contest. However, this is not necessary in the world of game. People identify themselves differently versus when they're in real life, such as when I project myself into this role in this picture, this scary looking huge guy with two shooting guns ready to battle. I may project my responsibility and willing to make good use of the two shooting guns and to protect my team or to be an attacker. However, in other contests that's being designed by this game, I might just be a regard and without attacking. And for the second way of understanding this term, when the project is done, is gone, which means that your power that is under this certain contest will only stick with you in this round, not in the others. Therefore, the takeaway from this theory is that education and social media could be a great help in helping individuals to identify themselves, especially the young, and to build stronger standards can also be helpful. The third theory, meaning as action image. This is about the interpretation of the term aggressiveness, since interpretation can be based on experiences and personal value towards the society. So the experiences from the game in this case is unlikely to be what are the experiences in real life. And we often draw the connection between aggressiveness with physical harm, and games do not provide physical harms in this case. This can also be culture specific. Scholars like Moyer and his colleague specifically focus on American players and argue that American players resonate less with the victim since they identify themselves as a warrior in games. However, Tens and his colleagues argue that Chinese players tend to be more apathetic towards aggression and think aggression is no big of a deal in games. Therefore, to extend a little bit, proper guidance according to different cultural values is crucial, and clarification in the beginning of the game by the game developers, such as to illustrate what's the message that they are trying to convey and to clarify on certain terms or set on some limits on age, such as people above 15 or above 18 could be appropriate for this game. In a nutshell, it seems to be relatively irrational to accuse games for the reason for the increase in aggressiveness in real life. And more importantly, we need to see what's behind the scene. So the foundation here is that a deeper recognition from the players of their personal identification is needed. And second is about contests. Context is very important in distinguishing the differences between reality and games. And lastly, guidance and clarifications can help to minimize the chance of letting players getting confused about what's real and what's virtual. Here are some references, and that's it. Thank you for listening.